Hello everyone, welcome to the Distimo webinar following up on our latest publication, The Impact of Being Featured in App Store. It's just 6, so we maybe are not fully complete, but the first question for everyone who has arrived already, can you hear us? And if you could type a quick message in the chat box, that would be great. So I just started to type in the chat box. I'm here with Thierry. My name is Crystal, and we are both analysts at Distimo. Again, can everyone hear us?
If you can hear us, can you please say yes in the questions? So you can ask us a question if you just type there yes, or we can hear you. Oh, okay, cool.
Perfect. Thank you for getting back to us. It's always nice to get some feedback, and you can use the same methodology to get in touch with us during the webinar. So if you have questions, please feel free to ask them. That's what we're here for. And also this webinar will be recorded and we'll make it available online after, so you can share with your friends or listen to it again, and we will also include all the slides. Yeah, like I said, I'm here with Thierry. He wrote this wonderful report on being featured in an app store, and we'll share some of the major findings of the reports, but we'll also show you some additional detailed app examples and yeah, basically the impact of an App Store feature, and we'll also look at the Amazon App Store next to Apple. And maybe first a few short words about Distimo for the ones who aren't really familiar with us yet. Yeah, really basic. We are an app analytics company. That's what we do, and we of course analyze the mobile app stores. And on the one hand, we have our main product for mainly mobile developers. This is the Distimo App Analytics that enables you to keep track of all of your own apps from all the major app stores, which is of course Apple, Google, Amazon, but also Samsung and Nokia and everything that's out there. And also we give you the opportunity to analyze your mobile ad network revenue with that. So this is all the data that you can freely track with our app analytics product for your own data. In addition to that, though, we offer you a product that we call Distimo App IQ, and this is also mainly what Thierry used to find the major findings of this report. It is our competitive intelligence tool that enables you to not analyze your competitors or the whole market or the categories of your interest, and also track events like if an app is featured and see how it really has an impact on download or revenue volumes, and you can use that as competitive information to decide about your own app strategy as a whole. Next to those two, we also offer conversion tracking that will then allow you to again track your own app with the way how your campaigns go and how your user behaves within your app, and the API then allows you to integrate all that data within your own platform. This is again a detailed overview about App IQ, but if you have more questions about that, always feel free to reach out to us and we can give you more product features, but maybe we will use the time of our webinar now to go back to the report, and Thierry will share some of the major findings of the report, and I hope you all find that very interesting, and as said, if you have questions, please feel free to type them in. So maybe let's start with the report. Of course we all read it, and if you haven't done so, it's also available on the website for free. But yeah, what are really the impacts of being featured? Maybe Thierry, you can tell us a little bit about the download impact at first.
Yeah, thank you, Kristen, for the introduction and hosting the webinar. Yeah, so the impact of being featured. For this report, I mainly focused on the Apple App Store in the US. In general, the same effect has been noticed in other countries and also in other stores. The characteristics of the featured categories, though, are different among stores. But yeah, there are a lot of different kind of featured category in all the stores. So for this first slide, I have a graph where we see the most beneficial featured categories based on downloads. So basically what I did, I looked at the 7 days before a featured period and the featured period itself. I took the average download in the US for all these apps. I excluded the apps that had price changes because, of course, it's not a fair comparison when there's also a price change involved. And doing this whole analysis, it brought me with these graphs. So in terms of download growth, Amazing Puzzlers for 99 cents was the category that was most beneficial for the apps in this category. On average, the downloads grew by more than 500%. And the second most beneficial in terms of growth was If You Like Badland. My personal favorite was Backyard Battles. There are a lot of nice apps in that category, but also all these apps had already a pretty high level of downloads, and they were able to grow even more when they were featured. So most of the apps in the other categories had relatively low volumes, and you see a spike.
Sorry about that.
You see a spike during the feature period, but with this Backyard Battles, the apps were already popular. They get a lot of downloads, and they get even more downloads when they were featured in the feature periods. So moving forward to the revenue impact on being featured, we noticed that.
Yeah, is the revenue, is it the same effect, or can it be larger or smaller, or what do you see in general?
In general, we saw also an impact, but it was in terms of growth a little bit lower compared to the downloads. So again, we see some interesting categories that were also listed in the download graph. So Amazing Puzzlers, we got If You Like Badland, but we also had some new categories like Burly Brewlers and Band in Your Hand that generated, the apps in this category generated more revenue in the feature period than 7 days before. And you see, again, also in terms of revenue, it's beneficial. However, the effect is a little bit lower. I think one thing is really good to bear in mind is that being featured is free promotion. You don't have to pay for it. You get additional extra attention from the store. A lot of people see your app on the storefront. So basically, it's all for free, and the effects for most of these categories are beneficial as well. So yeah, it's a plus.
But also on revenue, I mean, that's still a very significant effect, even though it's not as large as on the download volumes.
Yeah. Indeed.
But in general, I think we received a lot of questions about, how are these categories defined? We also just got one right in this webinar, and how do developers get featured with their apps? How do the app stores decide that? And of course, that's a very interesting question for a developer. And like you said, it's a free promotion, so everyone probably has the goal to get featured somehow. So we looked into that, and I think what we know is the editor teams of the app stores decide about that. They come up with the categories. They define them in a very creative way often. So we see,
especially in the App Store.
Especially in the Apple App Store, we see a lot of seasonal names, or here you see even that they make relations to popular games when they find apps that are similar to that, so that people who maybe like one game also find other games that are in line with that they are likely to also try out. And that's what you then see on the download impact when people just see it being featured next to an app that they already like and try it out. But then also we see a lot of seasonal app category features, or even holidays, or something like I guess for the New Year's resolution it was something like get back in shape, or we see a lot of game relations in the App Store features, and it's very interesting. So what do you know about that from your research on this topic? Can you tell us what a lot of apps had in common or featured, maybe?
In general, what you already said, an app has to be a favor of the editors of the App Store. So it has to be a good app, that's for sure. Good quality. It has to use a lot of functionalities of the store or the device, I guess. But yeah, really the editors really have to like your app, and then you get featured. And when you look at this list, is a table that's not presented in the report, so it is, the first time that this is out here.
Yeah, and again, the slides will be available online after this, so you can study this in detail. I know it's very small, it's a lot of information.
So, but what this list provide is 7 apps that are featured in the US over the last 2 months in multiple feature categories. So, for example, Cut the Rope was featured in more than 8 categories. For example, road trip and quick fix games, but also in editor's choice and film with physics. And then Asphalt 8 Airborne was featured in more than 7 categories. For example, awesome stunt games, and also an editor's choice, but also amazing racing games. So you see that a lot of apps, if the App Store really like your app, the chance is that you get you get often featured. So not only once, but
so it's even possible to be featured in more than one category at the same time.
It's even possible to get featured in 2 categories in the same time.
Wow.
So we got a lot of examples of that. I will show you Asphalt 8 Airborne in more details later on, and also National Park by National Geographic, the one on the bottom. I will show those apps in more details in analytics. But yeah, this is just an example of 7 apps that were featured a lot of times over the last 2 months. And I think it's all up to you what the characteristics are of these apps.
It can be very subjective. Yeah, so this gives a good overview about Apple, I think. How is it in the other stores? For example, with Google, or how is this impact in general when you see the feature? Is it that apps get more downloads and more revenue after the feature, or are they featured because they are already popular? Is it like the chicken egg problem?
It is like a chicken egg problem, because there are a lot of apps that were not popular or were new and they were featured, but there are also a lot of apps that were already popular and were featured afterwards. For example, one of the all-time best performing apps ever, Clash of Clans, it's still being featured in the Apple App Store, for example. When we look at Google Play, we see that Google Play has a different approach. So they have a lot of personalized categories. So they try to select apps per user and definitely per country as well. But they also got this movers shakers category, where only apps are presented that generate a lot of traction, downloads.
So that already moved in the charts a lot.
Yeah, so yeah, if an app moves very fast, it gets additional attention by Google Play, and it's put in the mover shaker category. So in that case, it's really like an app is performing well and it gets featured.
Yeah, very interesting. So you can see it can move in all different kind of directions, and I guess in the end it's really the editor's team that has to say on that. But maybe we can look at some specific examples for some apps. Do you have some here?
Yeah, so first I'm going to show shortly some examples that are also presented in the report, and later on I will show some additional examples. So this is one of my favorites, I think. It's a good example of what a featured can do to with downloads. So this is the Nick app published by Nickelodeon, and this app was featured just before the Kids' Choice Awards, which was held on the 29th of March.
So that was a TV show.
There was a big TV show where I think also apps, but especially TV programs and series get awarded for the kids.
Nice.
So what you see is two spikes. So the first spike is because of this featured category. So a lot of people see this app and start to download this app. But then the second spike was the day that the award show was held. So that was the 29th of March. So I think in combination with the show and this featured category, this app was downloaded a lot, not only on the day of the event, but also in advance to that.
Oh yeah, very interesting. So a double spike.
A double spike, yeah, indeed.
Nice.
So moving forward, I have, you can imagine that one of my favorite graphs of the report. So Apple decided to do a series of if you like featured categories. So we have if you like Candy Crush, if you like Minecraft, if you like The Room, if you like Badland. I think now they have if you like Pinterest. I'm not sure anymore.
Yeah, so not only focused on games.
Yeah, not only focused on games.
Normal apps.
Indeed, indeed. And I took just 4 random examples of apps that were featured in these categories and took the download volumes of this app in the US. And you see that with every featured period, the app get more downloads than before. So, for example, the pink line are the downloads of the Puzzle Craft app, and that one was featured in the If You Like Candy Crush in the pink period. And of course, the blue line were the downloads of Tiny Tower, and was featured in If You Like Minecraft, and so on. So this is a really interesting series of featured categories, and it's highly beneficial for every developer if you are featured in these categories.
Yeah, these are all very well-performing games. I mean, it's probably an honor for every developer if you're compared to Candy Crush or Badland or Minecraft.
Yeah.
They're all very well-established games that perform well over a longer time frame, and that's great to see that this impact and really shows in the data. Very cool. But is it always really beneficial, or?
Good question. So yeah, of course it's free promotion, so there's no downside in that case. But there are categories that have more impact on your downloads or your revenues than other categories. So this is an example of Super Brothers, and Super Brothers was featured 2 times. So it was first featured in the Spectacular Story Games, and later on it was featured in an indie game featured category. And you see that only in the first featured period this app got more downloads and more revenue compared to the second period. So really be happy and be grateful if an app store select your app to be featured.
Sure.
But don't expect too much in the first time. So
yeah, I think this example was interesting because, I mean, we could also just interpret this. I mean, this is what we see in the data, but maybe it was also less successful because it was already featured before and a lot of people downloaded it. But on the other hand, people compare the same app and how it performs in 2 different feature categories. So that might also have an impact. But I think we got some quotes that indie features are not well, and that's not a general statement that we would like to make with this report. I think it always depends on the app and the time frame, and I think every feature, even this graph shows a little spike after the initial downloads on the 30th of March. So I think every developer is happy to receive features, and they're always somehow beneficial.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Great. What other things can we cover? I think maybe it's time to go to AppIQ, show some of our product.
Yeah, so we got app analytics, where you can track your own apps in this tool, and it's also integrated with FRQ, where you can track your competitors' data. This is more or less the interface that you see, and for this example, I've selected Asphalt 8 Airborne, and you see this nice graph where, so again, these are all estimations. There's no real data here, and you can decide yourself whether or not it's accurate. But what you see here is the downloads of this app in the on iOS in the US. Oh, sorry, this is all countries. And when you click on these green areas, for example, here you see where this app was featured. So, for example, in Egypt, Jordania, Lebanon, Oman, in the featured category Formula One apps and games, but also in 10 amazing racing games in Russia, and also in multiplayer games in Bahrain and Oman.
Yeah, so whenever you see these green columns in the back, you will know through our tool that that was a feature period, and we'll give you the detailed names of the feature in the App Store, the certain categories, and if you select all countries, you will even see it on a global level. So you can also see through this that an app can not only be featured in several categories, but also in the same categories in different countries at the same time.
Yeah, indeed. So this is not only for the estimations, but it's also for your own app, so you don't have to go to all the country stores yourself, but you can see it just in our tool. Another example was the backyard battle featured category, and I got the example of backyard monster. It's the same. It's the it's all countries in iOS. And you see the green area where it has been featured. When I click, for example, on this area, you see that it was featured in games in Ireland and in the United Kingdom. So that's very interesting. However, you see a drop in downloads when you look at the global level. When I now go to the UK only, by selecting the UK in this filter, you will see only the period where it was featured in the UK, and you see that in the UK there was a lift in terms of downloads.
So you can regionally see that the impact of the regional feature in the store.
Yeah, indeed.
Cool.
Indeed. So this is for your own app. This is also for your competitors. The same features are available for the rankings. So that's also for free. And you see also the green area where your competitors have been featured or where your own app has been featured. Now moving forward to our leaderboards. So our leaderboards are just a list of most popular apps in a certain store, in a certain country, in category, and we make a distinction between free, paid, and grossing.
Just like the App Store?
Indeed, just like the App Store. So this is the leaderboard of the traffic category in the US for iOS, and that's iPhone and iPad combined. And when I go through these leaderboards, you see the download volumes of each individual app, and you see that, for example, N-Train was new on this day, so this is, I think, the leaderboard of April 11th. And when I go here to the 21st rank, we see national parks by National Geographic. You see that this app had a huge jump in terms of rankings. So I was wondering what caused this major jump in terms of downloads. So when I click on this button, it navigates me to the same interface as we saw earlier, and now we see the download volumes of this app in the United States. And we see that this app was featured many times over the last 2 months, but only one featured category, mainly here,
resulted in a spike.
Indeed. So when we click on this area, we see that featured in apps of the great outdoors was beneficial for this app, while the other categories, so in this area, in end of March, when I click on these areas, you see that being featured in road trip or featured in Homeworks project, it was not that beneficial for this app. Again, being featured is free, but yeah, different categories has different impact indeed.
Very cool. So those were some nice examples, I think. We covered Apple, we said something about Google. What does it look like in Amazon to be featured?
Yeah, so for Amazon, I had a look at the free app of the day. So Amazon makes one app free a day, and you can download it and you can play around with that. It's not covered in the report, so this is additional insight for you guys. And here are some examples of apps that were the free app of the day. So I've selected 5 apps here: Doodle God, Garfield Escape, and so on. And these are the downloads in the US. And you see that every app spiked on one day, on one single day. And that was the day that this app was the free app of the day. So you see a huge spike in downloads. For example, this app, this is purple, so this is Atomus HD. It was normally the downloads volumes are around 0, and now this app had almost
20,000. Wow.
Indeed.
So you say this was the free app of the day. Does that mean that there's a price change then?
Indeed, there's a price change. So a lot of this effect, a lot of this spike is caused by the price change itself, because first this app was, for example, $1, and now it's for free, so everybody's going to download this. But you get also more attention from the App Store, so you get more promotion. People are talking about you.
Yeah, because their price change was basically announced.
Yeah, indeed.
There are probably other apps that have a price change, but then they don't get the tag free app of the day, so they get probably less visibility. But with this feature, then 20,000 downloads can reach.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So of course, all these 20,000 downloads were not paid, so you don't earn anything. So what you hoped and what you expect is, due to this promotion, you get more paid downloads after being the free app of the day in Amazon. And for this example, we see that this is actually the case. So when we go to the revenue tab here, I selected the Atomus HD app, and exactly on this day there is no revenue because it's a free app now. Sure. It doesn't have any purchase, so no revenue. And after the 7th of March, you see that the average level of revenue is higher than before.
It was before. Great. So that means even after the price changes back to the original, so if it's paid again, the app makes revenue again, it's on a higher level than before because it got the promotion of being featured as a free app.
Indeed.
Very cool.
So this is just an example. For some apps, the effect is even larger, especially for more expensive apps. And for some apps, there's hardly an effect, but what you do see, a huge spike in downloads on the day that this app is a free app of the day, and later on you see a higher level of revenue. And for some apps, it's a whole month. For some apps, it's only for 2-3 days, and so on. But it's a really good way to get promotion and show yourself in the Amazon App Store.
Very interesting.
So I think it's for now from my end. Let me have a quick look whether or not we have some question that we can answer right away. I think we answered this one.
Yeah, we received quite a few questions. That's great to see. And we were almost at the end of our webinar, but we will definitely reply to all of your questions via email following up on this. Turi is having a quick look through the questions and see what we can answer in the time remaining. And also, if you should have questions after the webinar, feel free to reach out to us via email for feedback, additional ideas for future topics. It's always welcome.
All right, so yeah, I think we covered most of the questions. Thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the publication. Next month there will be a new publication about a new topic, and of course there will be a webinar. So I hope to speak to you then.
Sure. Thank you all.